Hi, this grammar lesson is on subject-verb agreement. You might want to download the document and take this quiz. This is a pre-test to see what you already know about subject-verb agreement. I posted this on a Word document in this assignment, so you can just pause the video right here and write your answers. And then after the lesson, you're going to go back and see, would you change your answers now that you know the grammar rules? So you can pause the video here and take this quiz. So what's the problem with subject-verb agreement? In most academic writing, corresponding subjects and verbs are expected to agree with each other in person and number. For example, we say we go or he goes. So depending on what the subject is, your verb needs to agree. Many speakers of English do this intuitively without thinking, although there are some tricky situations that require knowledge of rules, and that's what this lesson is about. Generally, subject-verb agreement errors will not cause severe communication problems. Your meaning will still be understood. However, if agreement errors occur throughout your paper, readers are likely to conclude that you lack proficiency in academic writing. So I want to help you improve this so that you have proficiency and don't make errors. What's wrong with this sentence? The dog chases the cat. Here you should say the dogs chase. It shouldn't have this AS. What about this? The big dog run. Here you should say the big dog runs because the subject is the big dog. So how do we know how to fix those errors? It's important to understand the basic patterns. Most verbs in academic writing change only for third-person singular in the present tense. Okay? So in the present tense, we say I write, you write, but he, she, it writes. So this is the third-person singular. Or it could be a singular subject, like the author writes. And then for plural, we write, you write, they write. It doesn't change. It only changes for third-person singular. It's about knowing when to add this S in the simple present. For be, the verbs are a little bit different. We have I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, you are, they are. For past tense, it's I was, you were, he, she, it was, we were, you were, they were. For the third person singular, we have was, but we also have it for the first person singular. For have, we have I have, you have, he, she, it has, we have, you have, they have. So third person singular is has. So let's go over some basic subject-verb agreement tips. Number 1, when you have multiple subjects, use a plural verb. Salt and pepper adds or add flavor to any meal. We say add because this is plural. It's like saying they add. Okay, so if you have a compound subject, you treat it like a plural, third person plural. So there would be no S. It's not singular. Second tip, pay particular attention when the subject and verb are separated by other words. The students in the back row of the auditorium was or were not paying attention. The answer is were, because the subject is actually students, and this is plural. You just have to ignore this prepositional phrase, this extra information, because if you think auditorium is the subject, then you would put was, but it's not the auditorium that's not paying attention, it's the students. So you have to ignore these interrupting phrases that separate the subject from the verb. And there are certain phrases that introduce extra information like as well as, together with, along with, in addition to, especially, you have to ignore those phrases to find the subject and make sure it agrees with the verb. The teacher, in addition to the students, is or are. It should be is because the subject is teacher. The students, as well as the teacher, is or are looking forward to Thanksgiving break. It should be are because students is plural. So you have to ignore these interrupting phrases. Tip 3. The subject is delayed after there and a form of be, is, are, was, were, or will be. There is or are many reasons to question the findings of this study. It should be are because this is plural. So the subject comes after the verb in these expressions with there. There is or are definitely a tendency to ignore problems. It should be is because the subject is a tendency, and this is third person singular. Tip 4. A sentence includes adjective pronouns who, which, or that. The verb that follows these words must agree with the noun it refers to. The student who participates in class or participate in class often gets or get a better grade. Because the who refers to student, this is third person singular, so you need to say participates and gets. Now, if this is plural, the students, you'll say the students who participate often get, because this is plural. So we don't want the S in the verb. Tip 5. With correlative conjunctions like either or, neither nor, not only but also, the verb depends on the second subject. Neither the cathedral nor the castle interests me because you're paying attention to the second subject. So this is third person singular, so we're going to add the S to the verb. Same thing here. Neither the cathedral nor the castle interests me. Again, this is third person singular, so you're going to add the S. But if you have a plural, neither the cathedrals nor the castles, these are plural, there is not going to be an S in the verb. So remember, the verb agrees with the subject that is nearest to the verb. Either my twin brothers or my sister was, because sister is third person singular. Either my sister or my twin brothers were here. This one is plural. It's nearest to the verb, so that's what it's going to agree with. Tip 6. Pay attention to indefinite pronouns and expressions of quantity. Pronouns that do not refer to any specific person or thing, like anyone, anything, each, either, everyone, nobody, nor, someone, or something, usually take singular verbs. Everybody in the study struggles with depression. Even though this is plural in meaning, these indefinite pronouns are treated like third person singular. One of is followed by a plural noun and is also followed by a singular verb, third person singular. One of the studies has proven this theory. So it's one of many. So the one, this is third person singular. We want to add that S. One of the articles was written by the person who defined the idea of culture shock. Some of you are also forgetting to add this S. Okay, when you say one of, it's one of many, okay? But you also have a third person singular verb. However, quantity words such as all of the, a lot of, some of, half of, a percentage of, most of the, may be followed by singular or plural depending on the noun that follows. Some of her writing, this is singular, so I'm going to say was. Some of her poems were. So remember, with these expressions, it depends on what the noun is closest to the verb, if it's singular or plural. Tip number 7, collective nouns. We have some nouns that represent a group, like staff, committee, audience, group, class, jury, and they're treated as singular in American English, usually. As the team rallies, the crowd goes wild. Even though there's more than one person, it's treated as a collective noun, so we treat it as third person singular. If you want to draw attention to the individuals, a plural noun such as members is often added. The team members were arguing vociferously with each other. Tip 8, non-count nouns and nouns that end in S. If you have a non-count noun like milk, air, evidence, it takes a singular verb. This is also true for some irregular nouns that end in S. The news, mathematics, physics, politics. These end in S, but they're not really plural. They're just irregular nouns. The information was taken from scientific research. This is a non-count noun, so you treat it as third person singular. Physics is my favorite subject. There's an S, but it's not really a plural noun. It's a noun that ends in S. We treat it like third person singular. Tip number 9, for particular amounts. When a noun refers to a particular amount or quantity considered as a whole, the verb is singular. $3,000 is the amount I have saved. I'm treating it as one quantity. 10 miles is a long distance to run. I'm treating it as one unit, so I use third person singular. So, go back to the quiz you took at the beginning and check your answers. Would you answer them differently now that you know the grammar rules? Also, please log on to Canvas and take this quiz. If you have any questions, please contact me.